And welcome back. This is a very scuffed intro.
Man.
Scuffed intro already. We gotta love it. But yes, we are Derby City Fandom. Today we are going to be covering The Last of Us Season 2. I had to make a mental note not to call it Part 2 because that's what the game is called.
Oh,
But so we get an interesting video game adaptation continuing into Season 2 here.
Mhm.
Before we go into ratings, I just want to throw this out there. I believe you all watched the Fallout series, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Do you think that this is a better overall video game adaptation? Like video game to television
compared to the Fallout?
compared to Fallout?
Oh, not for me. I think Fallout's a lot better.
Fair.
See, I think it all depends on casting. They both have good actors in both series, but I'm kind of leaning towards Jake here
Okay.
and having Fallout be just a smidgen better.
Yeah, just a smidge better. Uh I feel like some of that plays into that there's just a more Fallout in terms of like gameplay stuff to actually go into. I mean, it was confirmed that everything that happened in the series is actually canon within the video game universe.
Sure.
So that also helps quite a lot. Also, there's only a part 2 to The Last of Us. They didn't even go through the entire second game
Hmm.
in the second season. Like they cut it off like about 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Well, they've probably added stuff on, I'm sure, to make the story more appealing, I guess, to the audience. Probably, I would assume.
Yeah.
Um, maybe some even more character development, whatever. But for season 2, like we only saw Abby for like really
Not much time at all.
like she had maybe 10, 12 minutes, if that, of screen time for the entire season. So obviously this third season that's going to be coming out in the next year or two or whatever,
Yeah.
there'll probably be more screen time for her.
I mean, there has to be because
I mean, in part 2 of the game, isn't like there a air quotes quest it's just specifically her as you
yeah, you play as Abby. So
Yeah.
in the game, Jake, I'm not sure if you played the game, but at the very beginning, you play as Joel for his little bit before he dies. But then you kind of go back and forth between playing Ellie and Abby.
Yeah, cool.
So you get kind of both of their perspectives, right? Now, I guess to go off of what you said, Colin, they do kind of have to change some things about it because a lot of the gameplay is stealth based and there's only so much entertainment you can get out of
right.
watching somebody just like stand behind a piece of cover before, random person walks off screen.
Yeah, very.
So, uh, so yeah, I do see that being kind of something that they can work into, or
Yeah.
work around, I suppose. But before we go too much further, I don't want to exclude your favorite part.
My favorite part.
Your favorite part?
Are we talking ratings?
Ratings time.
All right. So Last of Us Season 2, Rotten. I hope this is up to date. I looked it up a couple hours ago, but it was at a whopping 92%
No way.
for Season 2.
Are people serious? Oh my gosh. What is wrong with you all? All right, go on, Colin. We'll talk about it.
The funny thing is about IMDb, it had actually a 6.3 out of 10.
Yes.
6 point. Yeah, that's more like it.
But I do want to point this out. Season 2, Episode 2, if y'all remember, that was pretty much like
That's the attack.
Yeah,
On Jackson?
that's where spoiler, that's where Joel dies in
Yes.
that episode. So season 2, episode 2 holds a 9.5 out of 10 stars based on 13,000 reviews. Keep that in mind, making it the highest rated episode of the entire series as of writing.
Yes. That is to go off of that a little bit. Now that he's spoiled the ratings. After Joel dies, there is only one episode that got above a 7.2.
Sounds about right. I mean, my faith has been restored in the internet. I agree.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's just because of a writing thing or not, or if people just really liked Joel a lot. I think most people do. There's
I mean,
some,
they casted him really well.
yeah, they honestly did. They casted him and Tommy's character really well as
Really
well.
well, I agree. You know what I think part of the issue might have been if they. I'm probably gonna get some blowback here for saying this, but like, I wish they hadn't killed him off in season 2 or episode 2. Like, honestly, and to me, that was too soon.
Sure.
But like, that was a crazy episode, right? And
Uh-huh.
especially with all the freaking quadriceps and all them chasing. Like, that was basically season 1 or episode 1 and episode 2. Like, those first 2 were just crazy. But like, if they just dragged it out a little bit later, kind of went like the Game of Thrones route of like, not the last episode, but they typically go for like episode, 6 or 7 or 7 or 8. That's when like the red wedding happened or some crazy shit happens, and then it kind of just trickles down.
Sure.
But I wonder if that was the case here. Like, the craziest thing of the entire season happened in the second episode, and that's when you kind of start to lose your viewers. I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you all think?
So to go off of that, that is kind of faithful to the game. Joel dies really early on.
Right.
So I mean, Joel is there to be a plot device of why Abby and Ellie are going after each other
Yeah, but
constantly.
if you want to extend the series longer and not just do freaking 7 episodes where the previous season was what, 9 or
9, it was 9.
yeah, so like going from 9 to 7, like
There's only 2 hours
that
of
dude, that
film time.
honestly, yeah, but like if you're trying to end the series with only 3 seasons, then this next season better be freaking like movie length episodes, kind of what they did for the last season of Game of Thrones. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sure, those episodes sucked essentially, but at least those were long episodes.
They made up for it in time. I get what you mean.
Sort of. Yeah.
So
I hear you, Colin. I get it. I don't know if I necessarily agree 100% with you, but I get it.
Great. Great.
Um,
Give me feedback. I want to know.
I was kind of okay. I mean, like I was disappointed because I really like Joel. I really like Pedro Pascal, right?
mhm.
Right.
I thought he did a phenomenal job. I was sad to see him go, but I didn't play the game, but I knew that he died pretty early on. So I respect that they tried their best to not drag it out.
Sure.
So I think the bigger issue for me was the episodes following his death just fell flat. I think it was a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. My biggest gripe is that yes, with it being only 7 episodes, so like there was no way they were going to actually be able to fit everything from the game into this one season. That being said, Naughty Dog, the creators of the game, right, would be incredibly dumb if they are not currently working on a part 3 or a Last of Us 3, whatever they end up calling it, right? But as of right now, there is no public continuation of this plot. Like it ends at the end of the second game.
Right.
So we get into a weird kind of bubble where if there is going to be the season 3 of the show, what all are they going to put into it, right?
Right. They're gonna
Which is basically what's left of the game, and then the DLC, which is Ellie doing stuff on her own after she kind of breaks off from Joel when she finds out about what happened at the hospital,
Mhm.
and they kind of go their separate ways. So there is potential for them to do it right, but I get the feeling that they all fall a little bit flat.
Fall short.
Yeah, fall short.
I mean, overall, the series has good writing.
Mhm.
Like I haven't
Does
really.
it though? I don't know.
I mean, I would say, yeah. Like I haven't really been disappointed in the writing. Like, sure, there were like episodes where I was like,
Bored as shit.
no, not bored, but maybe like underwhelmed.
Underwhelmed, yeah.
But I wasn't freaking like pissed off or anything. But I was like, oh, okay, that was an interesting
Like
episode.
that happened. Yeah, there was like I kind of want to agree with Jake too. There were just an episode where it just kind of happened. Like there wasn't anything too like noteworthy. Like
It's boring, man.
like there's a clear part like in the show and in the game where it's just like, oh, I we're just kind of stalling for time here for plot reasons because we need time to pass in universe.
And I get it for one episode, right? So I get it when they go off the adventure, they're leaving Jackson, they're headed to Seattle, and they got some revenge,
Yeah.
They got a goal in mind. So I get it there's gonna be a little bit of character development. You're on the road, you're on the trail,
Hmm.
they're kind of talking about things, and you're getting to know the characters, yada yada. But my big grief is like when they got to Seattle, it just dropped the ball on. Like they could have done so much more with it, I think. But they spent too much time like relationship building, more character development. Like they're stuck in that auditorium for too long, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what are we doing?
Yeah. I kind of agree
It's
with
my
you there.
opinion.
Well, whatever. I mean, we can start going into specific episodes.
If you want, sure.
Well,
Well-
before we do that, so kind of going, it sounds like you semi agree with me, Kenny. Do you think that they didn't do more of the Seattle stuff, like the Wolves versus Scars, because they're leaving that for season 3?
Potentially. I'm going to have to double check something real quick. I want to believe they don't actually spend all that much time in Seattle itself in the game. They spend most of it in Jackson and Jackson Hole.
Okay.
And then I think later on you end up in like Salt Lake, like you end up in Utah.
Yeah.
So you don't really actually spend all that much time dealing with the Liberation Front. You just kind of deal with the Seraphites and the Fireflies for the most part. Like at least what's left of the Fireflies.
Okay.
So there is some, I guess, differences. I guess that's one of the big main ones is the lack of time you spend in one location versus the others. Alrighty, Colin, you want to start us off on our adventure down through season 2?
5 years later.
5 years later.
Am I gonna use your notes that you have?
No, yours are probably better than mine.
No, yours are probably better because I have absolute shit. So what you got? So 5 years have gone by, and Joel.
Like basically 5 years after the hospital incident, Ellie and Joel are over in Jackson, Wyoming.
Yeah.
And off screen, Ellie finds out what happened because, of course, she was unconscious. She was about to get operated on, and all that jazz. And then Joel just kind of shows up and casually murders 19 people.
Yeah.
Which some of them are doctors, and the important one being the surgeon, which we will find out later, is Abby's father.
Correct.
Uh,
And then what we meet Gail, who's the psychotherapist,
yeah,
I guess, of Jackson, and she pretty much, since there's really no currency, air quotes, they pretty much, do trade essentially, and
Hmm.
she's out for weed.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll sit through an hour of your bullshit if you bring me, a couple
Like,
grams.
I'll psychoanalyze you and give you your therapy for some drugs. Sure. But then we see, I guess, the development, or I guess further development of Ellie and Dina's relationship together. It starts off screen,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
we kind of see everything that happens at the little New Year's dance
New
thing they
Year's Eve
have.
dance that they have in their, I don't know, whatever that building was called.
Sure.
And then there was their little moment where they're dancing together, and I guess Dina decides to come in for a little bit of a kiss, I guess, and
It's for smooch.
a little bit of a smooch, and that's when one of the characters, I forget what the character's name is, I guess he got offended by it and
Yeah.
just got completely homophobic and freaking called him out and used a particular word
Yep.
that we will not use on this.
Nope. Because one day this might get ad revenue.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
But
Joel then comes to her
Joel
defense,
intervenes and
beats some ass.
kicks some ass and tries to stick up for Ellie and Dina, and he turns to her and she's like,
Time to leave.
"What? You're such an asshole. What are you doing? What's your problem?"
Yes, as we see Ellie, I guess, not fully understand why Joel just kind of immediately goes to violence. For most of his solutions.
Yeah, I mean, you got a little shithead teenager that gives you shit, so you can't take it out on her. So you might as well take it out on some cordyceps.
Sure, and we do see our cordyceps friends, our lovely fungal zombie friends,
In the snow.
in the snow. Yes, which
And we also see Abby and them show up, right?
yeah. So this is where I guess we're moving on to the next episode, where Abby is now trying to hunt down Joel. Not really caring or knowing who Ellie is at this point, but trying to get back at Joel because, like, okay, you just killed my father and 18 of his friends.
I must say, the little lodge they were hanging out in looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
It was a pretty
Yeah,
sweet little
that
lodge.
little mansion looking thing.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty neat.
Now, as a total side note, did they actually film this up in Jackson? Do you happen to know, Colin or Jake?
I don't know.
Parts of it probably.
Okay,
It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
I gotcha. I was just wondering. I know either both of you or just Colin has experience up in there, so I was just like, oh, did you see anything that looked familiar?
I mean, it looked plausible.
It looked believable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I digress. Sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, Abby catches up after, pissing off a horde of zombies in the snow.
A freaking horde.
Horde.
A horde of them that were just. Well, hold on. We kind of skipped ahead a little bit. So, like, in the beginning, we see that they're, laying down pipe and whatnot, and they're digging up the terracotta pipe, I guess. And then they notice that there's, weeds growing through it. So they got to take care of that. And then the camera kind of like pans down to the pipe, and we see one of the little cordyceps vines.
Yeah, the spores, the mycelia, if we're going into
Which, like,
mushroom
several
terminology.
years have gone by. You think you would have like learned more about them, essentially. Like, how long does it take to get infected? Is it a few seconds, a few minutes? Because they kind of do hint at that they know how long it takes, but it's normally it's 12 hours maybe or something like that.
Believe so.
But anyway, like, you think you would want to learn more about what's taking over your freaking planet and how they spread essentially. And we obviously learned that it comes airborne. Spoiler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they,
Spores are a hell of a thing, man.
yeah. I mean, it's a freaking fungus. It grows in the ground,
Yeah,
and that's what we see.
but that's what we see.
But the dude triggered it, and that's what essentially woke up the ones that were buried in the
Buried in the snow.
snow.
Yep. But funny enough, her group gets saved by Joel, and then Abby turns that around and shoots the guy, and then brutally beats him with a golf club.
Well,
Skipping some steps.
yeah.
there.
Well, obviously you skipped a little bit, like that part where the horde is chasing her and she's on the other. She's basically between a fence and a building, and they're right there on the fence, and it's starting to like collapse on top. So
That was
she's literally
crazy.
like crawling on the ground. Like
Yeah.
there's barely any. There's literally no wiggle room. Like that scene was intense.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Like
a reason
I
why
was
it's the best
actually
rating.
like,
That's-
"Oh shit, is she gonna get out?" Of course, I know she's gonna get out.
Yeah.
But like, it did give me a little bit like, "Oh, maybe they're gonna do a 180 and freaking kill her right there."
Yeah,
Obviously
that was
not.
cool.
Yeah.
It's things like that like I enjoy the show. Like obviously the mild drama that has nothing to do with the infected or anything like that. Yeah, that's all great, but I want more death or
Sure.
near death experiences.
Near death, more action,
yeah.
I suppose. Less intergroup drama.
Yeah, I don't really care about relationships
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yes,
to a degree.
at this point, I keep wanting to jump ahead because it is kind of like the big turning. It's weird that the more I think about it, Jake, I still agree with our previous statements. It's weird that it happens so early, a little bit.
Let's talk
but-
about this episode that we're on right now. So,
Yep.
like, I mean, that was by far the best episode, in my opinion.
It is. It's like the
Colin-
best shot.
Even with like Abby and Joel run away from the horde, they did a phenomenal job. Like
Yeah.
filming that. I agree with you. I forgot about the fence scene, but now that you brought it back up, I was like, when I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, I was on the edge of my seat. It was intense.
Yeah.
But then when the horde's attacking the town of New Jackson, or whatever they call it, that was intense too. Like, and it was fun to watch, just watching them like put up all their defenses, and it kind of reminded me of
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I was thinking of Kingdom of Heaven to an extent too. It was just like watching them like build their defenses and get it all ready, and I was like, this is cool. I like this.
There literally was a scene that was almost identical to Game of Thrones. So in Game of Thrones, the episode that's called Hard Home, and they freaking, are out there and they're freaking trying to recruit all the wildlings and whatnot, and then that's when they all freaking come through their like wooden little fortress or whatever. They have
Yeah.
they bust through that essentially
Hmm.
exactly the same way in The Last of Us. Like throwing over, cans of oil and shit like that. Kingdom of Heaven, sure. It never happened, by the way. They would never do that back in the day. That's all Hollywood. But I digress. Anyway, but that was practically identical, and the snow just even emphasized it. So
Yeah.
And even when they got past the initial wall, they were going down that main street. Their plan to kind of drive them to the main street, and they had the flamethrowers.
oh yeah.
And the shooters on top. It was cool, man. It was pretty neat to watch. I liked it.
Yeah. It's very clear that this is not the first time this has happened.
Nope.
So they knew they had basically everything they needed to deal with at least a small horde, maybe not a huge horde.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely been through that before. Like you said, it was probably a smaller class horde, but this was definitely ginormous for sure. But they got him.
It's
got
funny
'em.
that you mentioned that the Kingdom of Heaven's all fake. And I remember watching one of those YouTube videos where it's like the experts explaining what's wrong with that battle scene in that movie.
Oh, in the
They're saying it
movies?
lacks a ditch. And the entire time I was watching, I'm like, dude, where's your all's ditch? Like, make a ditch around Jackson. Why don't you have like some moat or a ditch?
It's like every good
I mean, you
fortification
could
has a moat.
easily do that.
fortification has
You
a
could
ditch.
easily do that and make a moat around your entire city during the summer.
Yeah.
And when you're done with that ditch, build another ditch.
And then freaking literally like Game of Thrones, put in freaking logs in there, sharpen the edges, and so when they run through, they just stab themselves.
It
Yeah.
was funny.
They're not that bright.
No.
And you get the scene where was it Tommy gets cornered?
He has the flamethrower and the giant freaking
Yeah.
cordyceps is
Yeah.
chasing him.
That was intense too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. He freaking just takes it on with I think he had a gun.
He had a
also.
gun too. He
But
had a
that-
sidearm.
Yeah, he was running out of bullets with that, and then who ended up saving him? Was it his wife?
I believe so.
Yeah. Good episode overall.
Yeah.
But the club to the fucking body.
Oh man.
Oh, the clubbing scene. Yes.
I don't know why did she save why she let Ellie live?
Because she has no idea who she is. She's just a
She's just
random
out for
person.
Joel.
She's
She,
out for
she
Joel.
only
Alright, I
wanted
get
to
it.
mess up Joel.
Okay, I get it.
We find out later
She's gonna regret that.
that she regrets that because she finds out who Ellie is through Nora, I believe.
Yeah.
From Nora. But yeah, that is a particularly like emotionally charged scene to both in the show and in the game. And then we end up getting most of our gameplay through Ellie, some little side bits from Abby, but at least in this season so far, primarily Ellie's perspective.
Yeah. Because Joel's dead.
Because Joel's dead.
R.I.P.
Rip. So after all of that happens, they take the body back to Jackson, and we get another time skip, about 3 months or so, I believe.
Ellie kind of recovers. And she's out for revenge.
Yes. We say recovers. In the game, she's clearly has the PTSD. Like, it never leaves her.
Yeah, well, I believe it.
Somebody gets killed right in front of you brutally, I might add. Yeah, I'd probably have some freaking PTSD from that.
I actually kind of liked episode 3 too. So they kind of go into that town hall meeting. I really enjoyed that. So you have a bunch of like the town hall
Okay.
folks. A lot of them are opposed to this ideal and the
Of
council
going
votes
after
on
him.
it.
Yeah.
But then Ellie has like a really good speech with it, trying to support it. And then Seth, who's the guy from New Year's Eve, right? Is that
He is
same
the
guy?
bar owner, yeah.
And he comes out in support of her. And he was like, I loved his little speech, man. He's like, dude, you guys are just a bunch of. It's like they attacked one of our own. And we need to go nip it.
Like,
in the-"
you guys are a bunch of cowards.
Yeah.
Oh, like, you're going to let this little girl do your work for you?
I loved it, man. I thought it was a brilliant speech by both of them.
But yes, we find out about the Washington Liberation Front. We realize that they're in Seattle and they have the town hall meeting. We get the different speeches from each side. The council rejects it. Ellie then kind of goes off and solves the problem herself, or at least sets off to.
Thanks to the homophobe.
Mm-hmm. Of all people, right?
Yeah.
And then the story goes downhill.
Correct.
At least it's not like a drastic drop. It's more of like a subtle decline. But
Sure. So Dina ends up tagging along, despite Ellie not wanting to have her come. Because it's like, oh, it's too dangerous. Like, Joel is basically my adopted father. Like, I need to be the one to take care of this.
But on the way out, they visit his
They visit the grave.
visit the tombstone. Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
Just the trek that they end up taking.
Mm-hmm.
They end up bonding hardcore.
They got to know each other.
A little bit.
Literally know each other on a physical and emotional level.
Yep. Oh, boy.
But we do get to meet, when they get closer to Seattle, we do get to meet the Scars.
Yes.
Which I was getting hella Game of Thrones vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Were you? Why?
Bald guys. Don't you remember them in Game of Thrones? They're really tall. Bull
Oh,
cannibals,
yeah. All right.
the
That's it.
Fens.
The Thins. I can see it.
Okay, I was just like, that is like obscure enough that I don't remember. From
You
Game
need
of
to
Thrones.
watch it again, man.
I'm sorry I didn't watch it 27 times like you did.
32. Thank you very much.
Fair. I just sit corrected. Either way, we end up seeing a group of dead Seraphites, including some young kids amongst them, and that causes a very visceral reaction from Dina. And then we see them actually arrive into Seattle.
She throws up.
Yep.
We get to see some wolves in Seattle too. They're kind of marching around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. But the throwing up part is kind of important.
Yes, as we find out later on in the next episode, we're introduced to Isaac Dixon.
Yes, Jeffrey Wright, the actor that plays him. We were just talking about Westworld
Mhm.
last episode. Jeffrey Wright was in that.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Okay.
Yes, he was. But yeah, like that whole scene where he's in the kitchen, he's talking about some freaking pants. I'm like, dude, where the fuck is this going? I don't understand this metaphor. What are you talking about? And then he picks it up and then he turns to this freaking dude who's tied up, freaking butt ass naked, and I'm like, oh shit. I know where this is going now. Like that whole metaphor, I was like, yeah, I'm intrigued by what he's saying because he's good at like delivering those like long speeches and movies and series and that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
like anything he has to say, I'll definitely like curl up and
See, this is where the show loses me
Really?
because now at this point, I'm more intrigued about Seattle. I'm more intrigued about the wolves and the scars. And frankly, I don't really care about Ellie's adventure now. I don't. Like most of my interest is piqued by like this ongoing civil war in Seattle
Yeah.
between these two factions.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you guys disagree with that?
They make a point to emphasize it at the end of the one episode with like the convoy going through the streets and all the armored cars and all that. And then they just like don't bring it up to like that same degree, like with that same sort of emphasis or like in the rest of the show.
they
Kinda.
they basically like make sure that you know their presence is there because that's when was it Dina or Ellie? I think it was Dina that ended up just taking one of the radios off of
Mhm.
one of the cats there. And so I guess that was more so of like, hey, there are these guys, but we're gonna focus on Dina and Ellie. But every now and again, we're gonna, have, you know, radio chatter to let you know, like, hey, we didn't forget about these cats. Maybe
Sure.
that's the way they want to go about it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I could be just making all that shit up. I don't know, but
Entirely possible. Entirely possible. We see them go at it. Basically, the Seraphites and the Liberation Front, the Washington Liberation Front.
yep,
Uh, and while all that's going on, Dina and Ellie hide out in like a little music store,
Yeah.
sort of thing. They have a moment, and then
and she plays guitar and sings an Aha song.
it was,
Yep.
it was, yeah. We also see a moment where Ellie gets bit, and because Dina doesn't know that Ellie's immune, she's like full on ready to kill her, or like
Yeah,
mercy kill her.
she panicked and was ready to freaking fuck her up. But Ellie, she was
She's like, no.
calm, not calm. I wouldn't say she's calm. She was panicked, but at the same time, like
De-escalating.
yeah, she's trying to be very reassuring and de-escalate the situation. Like, let me prove it to you. Don't fucking kill me, please. This, that, and the other. I'm gonna go sit over here on this chair. You can keep the gun. You sit on the opposite side of the room. If you hear any noises whatsoever that freaks you out, kill me. Fine. But I promise you, when I wake up in the morning, I'm still gonna be me. That's essentially what happens, right?
Yes.
And
Basically, this goes back to there's like a 9 to 12 hour kind of like conversion period where it's like, okay, if you get bit, you can reasonably expect to be a zombie within this amount of time.
yeah,
So when that doesn't happen,
she believes her.
she believes her. And then I guess we have the one scene that everybody wants to criticize uh, on the internet because Dina like reveals that she's pregnant with Jesse's kid, and then they end up just having sex, like just there, I guess, in the moment.
Like, okay, whatever.
Yep. So moving on to the next episode, where
Please.
they encounter more dead Seraphites. The Seraphites are losing. Like the Liberation Front is just so much better put together.
I mean, the wolves have some weapons for sure.
Just a bit, right?
I mean, all they have are. Do they even have guns, or they just have freaking bows and arrows?
They have like guerrilla warfare tactics, and I think that's it.
I mean,
They have a cult personality.
they have a cult personality for sure, and at least their communication skills are top notch.
That
Sure.
little whistle thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. We end up seeing the Seraphites get one on, or get one over one of the wolf members, and
Young wolf.
yeah,
He was a pup.
sure.
Sure.
Then we're get Nora's, I guess, involvement with Ellie's group now, and that they run through the quarantined area that is basically just cordyceps spore air thing going on.
Yep.
So that's why they have it quarantined off.
Quarantine, right?
But Nora is like a little thinking that both of them are now like going to die. They go at it, right? And then Nora comes to the conclusion. It's just like, why do you look familiar? Oh, you're that girl we strapped to a hospital bed trying to dissect your brain 5 years ago.
Yes. You're a fucking idiot. You followed me in here. Now you're gonna die too.
Yep.
Well,
And
actually,
then Ellie
Well,
beats her with a pipe.
while trying to get information out of her, she didn't really get much.
Not much.
But she
She did get some good hits in, though.
yeah, she definitely got some good hits in, and
She got a location.
she confessed to Nora that she already knew about Abby's dad,
Mm-hmm.
and that was wild. Because
Yep.
at that point, we didn't really know how she knew, and then like with the next episode, it was more like
It's all flashback. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. I wish they would. Maybe in the next season they'll explore how it got airborne.
Oh, like the spores, the cordyceps.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be fun. They don't really go into it in game. They just say it's like, oh, it's mutating and changing as time goes on, like any disease.
As things do, sure.
So that's kind of all they do in the game in terms of like explaining it away. It's like, oh, we need a new enemy for the player to deal with, so let's make a giant one versus making one that likes to stalk people and be super stealthy and just kind of ambush people, right?
I did forget about that. So most of them are dumb, except for the ones that are stocky and smart-ish.
Right. Yeah. The ones that are inherently more predatory in like the animalistic sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are pretty cool. Ish.
Pretty creepy.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing. The cordyceps are not supposed to be pleasant in any fashion. They're all like well, creepy funguses, but then it's just like they're like drooling, they make weird noises, they move in disjointed ways. Like their movement is unique to them. Like when I say that, like other zombies from like other franchises don't behave like that.
Right.
So it comes off as off-putting, and they do a good job at making it off-putting.
Hmm.
So we get our, I guess, flashback episode where we see Ellie and Joel back together for a brief moment in flashback form. So that's nice. We see Ellie growing up.
Over the years and every episode basically being her birthday.
Did the flashback episode work for you all?
For me, it worked as kind of like a fun, like homage part of the game because this is where we're introduced to the guitar. That is like her favorite item and the one thing that she keeps from Joel, even after they have their disagreement.
Okay, fair enough.
So, like, it's clear that
It's
Joel is like
it's
very important to her, even after she finds out.
it's very sentimental.
Very sentimental.
And
That's
so
the word.
yeah, yes, there are probably moments where it was boring to some viewers, sure. But like, seeing the guitar made for her and then putting the little thing on the neck of the guitar, that was pretty cool, I
Mhm.
would say. And honestly, doing that's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
But I think my favorite moment out of that whole thing was the spaceship. Because like, dude, we're in a series, we're seeing shit about zombies and death and this, that, and the other. And we basically just do, I don't even know, like a 180, I guess, and we're in a completely different.
It almost paints that the entire zombie apocalypse thing isn't happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I liked it. I was like, this is a nice change of pace.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, the, it seemed like they put a lot of work into that particular scene with like, the visual effects and the helmets and all that shit. Like, they put some work into it and it
Sure.
shows, and I appreciated it.
I appreciate it. I think my only gripe
Of course,
with it,
there's a gripe.
well, I mean, it's something we already covered for the most part. It's like it happens so late in the season that then
Yep.
when they change it up in the next episode, which is also the last episode, it's like, okay, like you changed the pace a little bit in the penultimate episode of the season.
Yep.
Like that episode would have worked better for me if it had 9 episodes this season instead of 7.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you, Kenny. I thought the episode was fine. I think my gripe is the timing of it, like where they put it in the placement. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? And I stand by my statement. I'm like, at this point, and I can see where you're coming from. Like, maybe it's nice to have a change of pace, but it's like at this point, like I'm so fixated on the Seattle stuff, and we flash back to Jackson. I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know.
Yep.
Moving on.
Moving on. We see Ellie get upset with Joel when Joel has to deal with Gail's husband Eugene.
Yeah.
Basically, Eugene gets bitten, and he tells Ellie that he's going to take him back to Jackson so that he can say goodbye to Gail. Joel, knowing full well he's not going to make it back as a human being, not in time at least. So they
Do you guys
give him
with-
the old Yeller treatment, just take him out back.
Yeah, do you guys agree with Joel's decision making there, or were you guys more on Team Ellie there?
I think this still works as Joel basically demonstrating to Ellie that this world is brutal.
Yeah.
at this point. It's not the same anymore. Joel was lucky enough to grow up in a world where the cordyceps hadn't happened for the majority of his life up to that point. Ellie was born into this. So that's kind of what she has to deal with. This, like, ruined world where, morality basically got turned on its head.
What about you, Colin? Did you kind of?
So I have mixed feelings. So from one point of view, like as a viewer of the show, I think I relate more to Ellie because regardless from a viewer standpoint, from regardless of how fucked up the world is, there's got to be some signs like there's good people out there,
Yeah.
and obviously it is this dude's last final moments or whatever. So like as a viewer, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, come on, take him to say like the last couple things to his wife, whatever. And as we've seen in like previous episodes, like there's time enough to get from there back to Jackson. Like it's not going to be 24 hours, but you can probably get back there in less than 12 for sure. Even
Sure.
if it is like a literal last word and then freaking bang, shoot him in the back of the head or something in front of his wife, fine, whatever. But at the same time, if I was in Joel's shoes, like IRL, I would have been like, yeah, Ellie, go get the horses and I'll
And then
meet you. And
then you just hear a gunshot.
yeah, but I think it was pretty cool of him to literally just take him, right there in front of the lake and like this is the last thing you see. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's how I'd want to go out too, like for
Of
sure.
mice and men style. Just
No,
look at the rabbits.
Yeah.
that's funny. I'll give you that.
Oh gosh. No, I don't know. So part of me agrees with you, Colin. Part of me is also just like agrees with the meme and the thought that it's like, as kids we all wanted to be SpongeBob, then as we get older we become more like Squidward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely Squidward right now. Like, hey fuckers, get off my fucking lawn.
Right. But
Let me play my fucking drums as loud as I can and piss all my neighbors off.
Yeah,
Or well,
it
he plays the
was
clarinet.
it was
I
well
guess.
written. No, I think you said it well, Kenny. It's like it kind of showed both sides of them, or it's kind of showed Ellie's immaturity, but also showed like Joel's little like, all right, man.
it's like you need to, like, Ellie, you're going to die if you don't, like, wisen up a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in now. Let me reintroduce it to you real quick.
But it also shows like Joel's fall too. It's like, man, there has to be a dose of like trust and morality and I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh boy. So where does that leave us? I think that actually does leave us on the last episode. So
We're definitely on the last episode at this point, and we're basically on Abby's trail to a degree.
yes, we're on Abby's trail. Ellie visibly shaken that she's becoming more like Joel every day,
I can see it.
and that affects her quite a bit. However, in this episode, do have them chasing after Abby, of which she believes Abby's hanging out in the aquarium, like a nearby aquarium.
Yeah, the info. Where did she get the info from? Was that from Nora?
From the torture scene.
From
Oh
the
yeah,
torture
yeah.
scene.
So she said, what'd she say? Like the whale and the eye
Wheel.
and the whale, or
Yeah, something like
wheel
that.
and the whatever the
Yeah,
fuck. And then they finally like put two and two together, and they see a Ferris wheel and an aquarium. So like whale, wheel, Ferris wheel, aquarium. Got it.
Mhm.
Let's go there. And she's about to freaking, attack some dudes on the docks, and then all of a sudden we see all these lights pan out from the ocean, and it's like several boats,
several boats.
and they're about to freaking go to war. It looks like with the freaking the other cats.
Yep.
But she was smart not to shoot that one solo dude on the dock, otherwise she would have been fucked.
Yep.
But then she takes a boat and goes out on her own, and did the engine die?
No, she got Like a rogue wave got
Rogue
her.
wave. That's right. It was storming,
Yep.
and she got toppled over and washed up onto the beach. And guess who finds her?
Oh boy.
And that went pretty quick.
It
whole,
does
like,
kind of happen
She
very
lands on the
fast.
beach, and the scars are like trying to like hang her or something. Then bam,
Yep.
she has an
Basically,
opportunity to
everybody
escape.
that she's dealt with suddenly catches up to her, like almost all at once.
Yeah, she's about to be like strung up and gutted, but then an explosion happens, I guess.
Yep.
It's a
Convenient explosions.
convenient
That was
explosion.
the Seraphites doing that one, correct? Or am I
The wolves are
the
attacking.
wolves
No, the
doing
wolves doing it.
Okay. Like, I'm getting my
At least
people
we're led
mixed
to
up now.
believe that. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so she gets back. She get back onto the boat.
Yeah,
Does she paddle, or the engine work?
I don't
Or
know.
was it a new boat?
Regardless, she
Anyways.
goes into the aquarium and then she sneaks. She gets there and she gets into the building and
Yep.
sees some familiar faces.
Yes. Now we didn't bring up Owen and Mel earlier on, but I guess they're the reoccurring characters.
Yeah, they were there when Joel was killed.
Yes, they were also there. Mel happens to be very pregnant at this point in time.
Very pregnant.
And as things kind of devolve in conversation, Mel ends up getting shot.
Mm.
Dude, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Dude, I don't know I don't know. Like, if, a pregnant woman ends up getting shot and she wants me to save the baby and cut here, do this, that, and the other, I'd be like,
I must admit, I kind of fast forward through some of that. I don't think I can handle.
No, I watched that entire scene, but
I
like
couldn't
I
handle
was
it. So
sitting
I
there
kind of
like
fast
and just
forward. I was
pure
like, ooh,
my jaw was so far down onto the ground. I was just like, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do this. Like,
yeah.
how, where, cut where? You're, dude, no, you're fucked. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This was an accident, honest to God. Like, but
She takes it pretty hard though.
Yeah, her PTSD just
keeps on
compiling.
compiling exactly. Like,
Yeah.
shit.
But so there's not only that, but in the following scuffle after that moment, Jesse dies. And Tommy gets injured.
That was crazy. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
That was wild. They're back at the auditorium.
Hmm.
And, like she walks. What they hear like a ruckus or something. They open the door and
They just hear
Jesse just
gunshots.
takes one to the face. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that was freaking wild. I knew something was gonna happen because like they had like a moment, and with past series, anytime somebody has those like deep kind of moments, rather like they reveal someone's love for another, they end up mending things or something to that effect. One of those two characters, either that next episode or later in that episode, dies.
yeah, I mean they kind of built that up with the prior episodes with a lot of the conversations between Ellie and Jesse, where Jesse's kind of like a little bit more the mature one, saying like you're acting very immature. You're pretty selfish. Like I'm just trying to make it because now I have a baby, and that's like my expectation is to get my not wife, but to get her and the baby back to Jackson.
Safe.
So they kind of like prelude to it. They're like, oh, and then
But then he freaking just opens that door and fucking
Just eats it.
Jesus.
yeah, I did not.
I
see
didn't
that
think it
one
was gonna
coming.
happen that soon, but I
Yeah,
knew
that
something was
was-
about to happen. Good God, bro. What a way to go out.
Kind of makes you mad at Ellie a little bit.
Yeah, but
Yeah. So the interesting part for me is that this is the part of the game where you get everything from Abby's point of view, like you're controlling Abby. And she ends up at this location because she's trying to get to Ellie, but she finds out that Owen, her ex-boyfriend,
yeah.
it has gone missing and that the Seraphites have him somewhere. And that's why she ends up in this location.
Mm. So-
Now, this is the last episodes, but we find out, like, a handful of days prior that Abby got basically a summon from Manny. whatever the guy's name is.
The guy that played Jeffrey Wright's character,
Yes,
Isaac.
Isaac. Basically, like receives word from Isaac about something.
Yeah. You talking about
And then it
you talking
cuts.
about the scene at the Seattle Seahawks stadium? The
Like,
very
like
end?
it's like the very end,
The
like
very
the
end.
last scene.
Yeah, they're at the NFL stadium up in
Yeah,
Seattle.
they are.
That was kind of cool looking.
That was wild. Yeah, they just had everything like piled up and lined up right in the middle of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been stocking up for a minute.
Oh yeah. Takes a lot of resources to go to war.
So you guys assume there's season 3 gonna be mostly Abby's perspective?
Yeah.
Or you think they'll just start with something else?
No.
I assume there'll be a season 3. I don't know where they'll. Obviously, they don't have a game to go off of, right?
No, but they still have some of
the material.
the material from the game they haven't covered.
Okay.
I was getting into that earlier. They still have about a third left of the game to go through from where they kind of ended. Because I don't know if do I want to spoil basically the plot of the game at this point, Colin?
I want to, but no.
Okay.
I don't think we should.
So one of the big point
That can be a short, and
That can
we'll just ask Jake to leave.
we'll just casually ask Jake to leave. But we do in game at least get a final confrontation between Ellie and Abby. I won't say how it ends. Both parties ends up getting pretty messed up.
It's in a way, it's laughable.
Don't tell me. No, we're moving on. Don't tell me. I don't want to.
The guitar is involved.
Oh my gosh.
In a way, it's laughable.
It is.
Fine, spoiler. Just
Well,
tell
maybe-
me.
did
If you
we-
don't
Okay,
want to
fine.
know,
So-
stop listening right now.
So
Come
at
back
the
here
very
like a
end of
minute.
the game, basically, yeah, 3, 2, 1 spoiler warning. You have been warned. Ellie does catch up to Abby. They have their final fight in game, and in cutscenes, Ellie is about to drown Abby, and she has like just like a stray thought about like how would Joel approach this situation, and she chooses to spare her. And she wanders off and goes to play her guitar with a badly damaged hand that Abby had just in a couple scenes prior bit a handful of fingers off.
Oh my god.
And that's where that game ends, is her trying to play guitar
Like missing
with
fingers?
like 3 fingers on one hand.
Aw. Well, look at that. Look forward to
So-
watching.
I think they're gonna change it up a little bit for the series, because that's but at the same time, I think they're gonna go a different route with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to if they don't produce any more actual material, like writing wise, for the video game.
But if they do like a tit for tat kind of thing, like verbatim from the game,
Sure.
I'd be a little disappointed. I mean, there has to be a loser,
Sure.
or both of them die.
I guess for the record, one of the writers, Neil Druckmann, co-directed the video game and co-wrote it. So he's like actually involved in the video game itself.
Hmm.
So there's a strong chance that it's going to at least make sense, but you still have to adapt it to television.
Sure. Or use one of the guitar strings, to, like, strangle one of the characters,
Eh,
I think it's safe to say a guitar will
or
be
just
involved.
smash it over somebody's head. What did you say?
It's safe to say a guitar will be involved.
It is safe to say the guitar will make a reappearance.
Cameo. Would it be called a cameo for an object?
No, I think they are considered objects, so thus an Easter egg.
Easter egg.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, that makes more sense, I guess. So I guess that basically concludes the.
That concludes, I guess, the plot overall. Again, 7 episodes. They ended before we ever see the final confrontation, which leading up to the confrontation, there's like an hour and a half to 2 hours of gameplay, at least. And depending on if you're going guns blazing or using the game's stealth mechanics, that can be a lot longer.
Yeah. I don't know. Final thoughts on it? The more and more I think about it, the less I like it.
Yeah, you really are being harsh.
Like, I don't hate it. I
Did
don't
it
think
just
I'd
go
watch
from being
again.
very good to being very mid for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Then you can continue with what you were gonna say. Is this more or less worse than the Acolyte?
I like this better than the Acolyte.
I would fucking hope so. Acolyte was shit, bro.
Yeah, I like this better than the Acolyte.
All right, so it can't be that.
But just the fact that you're comparing it to the Acolyte's not a good thing, right?
That means the Acolyte at
No,
least
no,
has enough staying power.
I was
in your
taking
brain.
something that we agreed on that was absolute shit.
I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, it had parts that I really enjoyed. I mean, the first couple episodes I really liked, and then there's parts of like the latter part of the season I enjoyed. But I found myself bored in a lot of segments, I guess.
Yeah. I think this is the most I've ever agreed with Jake in a single episode we've recorded on this podcast.
And
But it's cut. Play it outro. The first season was just so good, and this second season is just a letdown when you compare the two together against themselves.
And
Right?
maybe I was just because I was a big Joel fan. I don't know.
A lot of people would agree with you because the average viewership per episode dropped significantly after episode 2 when Joel died.
All right, let me ask you all this general question. All right, hypothetically, there's a season 3 starts tomorrow, right? This entire week leading up to the season premiere that starts tomorrow, would you or would you not have rewatched all the episodes to be caught up for the season 3 premiere?
Nope.
You wouldn't have rewatched a single episode. Not a single episode.
I probably would have stuck to like a recap thing.
Wow.
I probably would have watched the flashback episode and the last one because those seem to be the only ones that actually
Well, I
mean
guess
anything
I'm
moving
just
forward. We're against
lone
you
wolf
tonight.
here. Yeah, that's fun. You know, I enjoy it. I'd rewatch it. You know, like unlike the Acolyte, I will never watch that series again. But this show, I would probably watch again.
Oh, yeah.
And the same thing with Game of Thrones too, man. Like that fucking show sucks for the last season, but leading up to that point, every
Pure gold,
minute
man.
of it.
I agree. Approaching this series for me is a little difficult because I have been exposed to the video games, so I have a different set of expectations than I guess somebody like Jake who didn't play the games
Mildly
but enjoyed the
experienced.
first season. Correct me if I'm wrong. You did
Season one was
positively
cool.
like
Yeah,
the first one, right? Yep.
I positively like the first season. Yep.
Okay. So some of it, I just from like a video game nerd perspective, it's just like, oh hey, they're continuing this thing that a lot of people like. This thing that at least did a lot of different things positive for video games. Like the stealth systems were new and interesting. The graphics were top notch for 2020. That's when the game came out. Last of Us Part 2. It just seems to not hit all the marks it needs to in this season. And I don't know if adding a couple extra episodes would have helped it at all. But that is the first glaring thing to me. It's just that for no rhyme or reason, this had 7 episodes instead of 9.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious in reading up why they did that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I'm not convinced that even they added a couple episodes it would have made it better.
Would the season have been better if there were less episodes?
It would have done like a movie or something.
And just have
Like
if they just had
longer episodes?
longer episodes and like 5 episodes, each one being like 75 minutes long.
I'd buy that. I think I could buy that. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I'll go the middle route. I would have to see, because with that extra time, you can cover more. Overall, at least time wise.
Like with the series as it is now,
Mhm.
you basically just condense it into 5 episodes without cutting everything out. So, whatever the average for that would be, just find that moment where like you could just end right here and then the next episode will pick up pretty much right where it left off. Without adding anything or taking anything away, would it be better if 5 episodes instead of 7?
No, because at that point we're just talking about, like, are we just cutting content for the sake of time? And in this particular case, that I believe would not help
And we're talking about 7 weeks
versus 5.
versus 5.
Yeah, you see, at that point you do kind of miss some of the build-up. So that feels like what this season is trying to do is that they spend the majority of the time building up to the next season, which, fine, I get that. You need to kind of build up anticipation for what's coming next. It just leaves this current season kind of in a rut, so to speak.
Well, it would be stupid for season 3 if they, for season 1 had 9, this season had 7.
Like the next one has like 12 in it.
Yeah, it'd be dumb to increase it at that point. So, like, either stick with 7 or
Stick with 9.
go with 5 or 6 episodes, but they all be
Bit longer.
movie length.
Sure.
Even the ending of this season, you compare it to the ending of season 1, like it's not even comparable. You know what I mean? You see Joel just go completely mental in that hospital. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe the rest of the internet disagrees with me, but I just compared to season 1, which I really enjoyed,
Yeah.
and this was just like, meh.
I mean, that's what they're gonna end up doing, or they are doing with Stranger Things. Is they have volume 1, 2, and 3 coming out in October, November, and December, and each one of those episodes well over an hour.
Oh, so they're doing more like a movie format, but 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if
And
it works. I don't know. It might be interesting to go that
I
route.
mean, it's HBO. They can really do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah,
Wait,
they got
HBO has Stranger Things?
No. I'm
Netflix?
just saying, like in general,
Oh.
like HBO,
Oh,
like
for
they did
Last of
that
Us.
with did that with several series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well over hour long episode. And like, yeah, maybe the attention span for most people is an hour, but like, what about those nerds? What about those people that do like podcasts and talk about this kind of shit? Like, they would freaking thrive on that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the content itself has to be
Worth the
worthy.
investment. Yep.
So
Because to go off of that, it's like in an environment where all these different companies have to compete for people's attention, you got to make it at least worth my time to want to watch your thing versus somebody else's.
Let me correct myself. I think this was worth watching.
Okay,
I would tell people
go watch it.
go watch it.
Sure. Okay.
Now, if I had to answer the question like, would I watch it again? And we kind of went down that road. We're like, I don't think I would. Like, I don't think I'd waste my time watching season 2 again. But I like if someone was like, oh, did you like it? I was like, yeah, it's worth a watch. Would be my response.
Sure. Just put it on like your lazy Sunday list of stuff to do.
Yep, that's how I would do it.
Okay.
Where compare that to Fallout, like I probably plan on rewatching season 1 of Fallout.
I already have.
So
There we go.
And like the new season.
This full stop.
the new season was coming out is it the end of this year or is
End
it
of this year or the beginning of
2026?
2016. Yeah.
2026, not 2016, Betty.
Kenny's in the wrong decade.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Go to bed. No, I need to wake up. I've been in a coma for the past decade, I guess.
But yeah, I would watch this series again, and when the new season, hopefully they have a new season coming out. So
All right. Any other closing thoughts, gentlemen? I think we've wrapped it up pretty well.
I'd say fairly well. Um,
Jake, you look like you're pondering.
No, we wrapped up pretty well. Nothing from me.
Gotcha.
my closing thought is I wish they had gone into little more with Isaac because obviously, like I said, I like that actor. But the screen time for him, I wish they would have given him more because I want to hear more about what he's about.
What he's done. Oh, yeah. He'll be a bigger character in the third season. Just because he
Probably.
plays more of a role in that chunk of the game. So,
But yeah, that's my closing thought.
Yeah.
Overall, good show. I'd watch it again. Apparently, not everyone agrees with that. Kenny, what about you? Last thing.
last things. In a weird way, it makes me want to play through the game.
Sure.
So, the Fallout series didn't like instill that kind of feeling in me. If we're going to compare the two, both being like video game adaptations, right? This one strikes me as like, okay, maybe we'll give this like another playthrough. Let me see if there's anything that I missed because I feel like I clearly have missed something, right? Maybe I would have enjoyed it a bit better. So I guess that's my one thing that I might try to do between now and season 3.
Sure.
So I'll do that. Now, Colin, where
Good.
can the people find us?
Well, everybody, feel free to look us up on the good old Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, pretty much all the major platforms. Give us a like, give us a subscription. Let us know if you have any requests on episodes that you'd like us to cover.
Yes.
Apparently, I've gotten some requests in person, but I told them to DM us. And they asked. The funny thing is, they asked, "Do you have email?" I was like,
Yes, we
"Technically, we
do.
do, but I don't think it's ever been read." So,
I check it every once in a while.
oh, okay. Well, there's your answer.
You
Oh,
can email
gosh.
us if you want. Maybe they'll respond.
Yes.
What they
Yeah.
request for? Can you share it with the people?
I don't remember.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh! Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, if anything, folks, look forward to our next episode. We'll probably be covering Fantastic Four. I know that's the next big thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
Because I don't think I'm going to be able to convince them to go watch Jurassic World on July 2nd.
I'll be watching.
I'll go see it, but it's definitely gonna, I mean, it's
Okay.
gonna suck so hard.
So, a unconfirmed potential future episode on Jurassic World.
Also, did y'all see my shirt today? Look at that.
Marvel, baby.
Isn't that awesome? Love it.
Alrighty. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.